All right, all right. Let's get this stream started, shall we, gentlemen?
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
sounds good to me.
Yeah? All right. Let's do it.
Hell yeah. I would love to see the stream. I'm still getting another ad.
All right, so welcome.
I would love to see the stream. I'm still getting another ad. Hey, now I'm seeing it.
Got it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So,
Hello, everyone. If you let me, I want to introduce you. I want to introduce you the real talent. That's not me. How's everybody doing? My name is Rafael. I'm a filmmaker born and raised in Brazil. I moved to LA and became a lighting technician and a DP, and I've been doing that for the past 5 years. Sanjiakomo, the film, is the first movie I'm directing, and it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Austin Molloy and Kyle Nash, the two composers of our original soundtrack.
hey, how's it going?
How's it going, everybody?
First things first, just Kyle, because you're next to me. Kyle, talk a little bit about you, dude.
Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm from Salem, Oregon. 21 years old right now. I go to Pierce College, which is a community college right next to their college. And I came down here to LA with my buddy Austin, who's in the stream with us, to continue our career in the film industry.
All right. Nice. Do you want me to just go ahead and jump in?
Heck yeah, dude.
Alright.
I think Kyle, just double check real quick the audio levels on the.
Make sure your audio is set to mono, because it does sound like we can only hear out of the left ear.
Out of the left ear?
Yeah, and for me, your audio seems a little on the low side
Okay.
because of the.
How?
Just getting these little details situated. Other than that, how's everyone's night going?
I mean,
so far?
it's not a stream if you don't start with all these.
Of course. Does this sound better at all? Or I could turn up the mixer. Does that sound better?
It does sound better.
You just need to go into your audio device settings and change it from mono, your properties for your mic from mono or from stereo to mono. You'll be fine. It's just
I can.
the left speaker.
Hey, we got an extra participant in the stream. Nah, yeah, I can still only hear it from one side of the ear.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah, just go sound settings.
And then
Manage sound device, device properties,
device
and then additional device properties, and then you want to go to advanced and do one channel, 24-bit.
And where? The advanced? Oh, yeah. One channel? So it only shows 2 channels.
It's also cool that.
Yeah, I mean, that's weird. I mean, mine shows 2, but
2 channels, 16-bit, 24-bit, and 32-bit.
Good thing that you're giving me the time to post on Instagram.
Oh,
I
yeah.
never thought that the streaming started. So yeah, take your time, fix it.
Okay, so it's facing the right way. I had to double check that real quickly. No, I don't see anywhere where it shows that. Wait. How about now?
yep, we gotta have Kyle reset his mic now in Discord because he changed his device properties. You gotta set it to default, and you'll be good.
Okay.
It's great because only people who are here right now are going to be able to hear us. this happening because I'm definitely editing this out once I upload it somewhere else. So we're good.
All right, am I good?
Hello. Wait, can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
okay,
Fine?
okay. Yeah. Now it's perfect. Now it's
Oh,
perfect.
okay. Ooh. Alrighty then. Thank
That
God.
that was something. That was something.
All right, shall we just redo the intro then?
Yes. And just real quick, I am posting. I'm posting that the stream has already started on IG. And whenever you guys are not talking, please retweet. Is there anybody in the chat already?
That looks like a no.
Nah, that's fine. We're gonna have a lot of people watching. Let me restart. Okay. Here we go. Hello, everybody. I'm Rafael. I'm a filmmaker born and raised in Brazil. I moved to LA 5, 6 years ago. Became a lighting technician and a DP. Sanjiakomo is the first movie that I'm directing, and it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you guys to Austin Malloy and Kyle Nash, the composers of the original soundtrack of Sanjiakomo. Kyle, because you're next in my camera, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, how's it going? Um, I'm Kyle Nash, just like what he said. I'm from Salem, Oregon originally. I'm 21 years old. I currently go to Pierce College, which is right down the road from their school as well. And I came down here with my buddy Austin, who is as well in the call. And we came down here to continue our career in the film industry.
Yeah, and as you heard Kyle say, well, my name is Austin Malloy. I'm also from Salem, Oregon. Me and Kyle grew up together, and I moved down here to LA in 2018, out of high school, just out of high school, to go to film school down here, because that's just what I wanted to do. I've always wanted to make movies, so that's why we're down here.
That's good. You kind of pulled the hook. What in movies like attracted you?
I guess just the idea of in a different way, everyone can come together and work, do their craft, and while still being creative, and they can collaborate and create something awesome, and that's what I like about it. I like that it's all about being with people and being able to share the creative experience with each other is what I like about it.
Interesting. Kyle, is that the same thing for you, guy?
Yeah, I would totally think, I totally think the same way as well. I just like love the idea of just being able to work on something that you love to do instead of working a 9 to 5 job every day doing the same thing. You know, even though it is the same thing, it is different every set that you're on. It's not always going to be easy, and it's not always going to be hard. Sometimes you got some chill sets to be on. Other times you have to really work hard because some things might not be going your
Gordon
way.
Ramsay
Or
might be your director.
oh yeah.
Oh shoots. It's very early in the stream to start throwing shade, guys.
I'm not throwing shade at you. I'm just saying in general, Gordon Ramsay might be your director.
Oh, okay. Oh, but that's interesting because I've heard. I mean, that's an argument we hear a lot. But like, you guys are, you guys do sound on set, which is it's on set work. But like, a lot of your work is post, is the creative on your own on the computer, and I imagine that doesn't change that much from for like creating an album, like for or be working as a musician, like an electronic musician does pretty much the same thing you guys do. Why did movies attracted you instead of like just composing songs to put on Spotify?
Hmm. Well, I think the thing that like I'm not huge into composing yet because I mean I'm still working on my associates right now before I'm able to actually emphasize what I can, like what you guys can do in your college. So what pulls me towards it though is just being able to literally be the composer of a whole group of people who are creating music with their instruments. Like I want to one day work with like a lot of famous people who make music, whether they're singers or play the instrument. And I think that's a great way to actually get into the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely, I agree with everything you said. And, for me, it was, I was always pulled towards a little bit of both. I was always stuck in the middle because ever since I grew up, I was always singing and playing the viola and violin. I was in the choir, but I did theater also in school. I went to a lot of schools that focused on the arts a lot growing up. And so I loved the idea of acting with other people, like I said earlier, working with other people and coming together to create something. But I always, loved music also. And I think I try to find a way to combine the love for both of them together, which I love music and I love, playing instruments and creating music, but I also love film. So putting the two together, it's nice to see one accompany the other, or, the two accompany each other. It's a nice duet to see.
Are you? I'm sorry.
Am I muted?
I think you were.
Yep,
Yeah.
I think you were muted.
You muted me.
No.
I was saying that it's fun you say like that like they're working together, because I've met way too many filmmakers that just think it as like the song is something that accompanies the movie. It's like an extra thing that you accompany. It's almost like a secondary thing in the mind, and not which it's weird to me, because I mean, a horror film, if you want a horror film to not be scared, you don't turn the image off, you turn the sound off.
Mm-hmm.
That's how. So it's just funny it's interesting to see a professional that works in the area understanding that no, it's a combination, it's a partnership, is two equal halves. Well, let me, before we start going into creating music and the process, let's just I have to pitch in the project, because at the end of the day, that's why the live streams for. Right?
Yes, sir.
Let's talk a little bit about Sanjiakomo. Sanjiakomo is a short film. It's a thesis film for Columbia College Hollywood that I am directing. These beautiful human beings are composing the original soundtrack, and it's a period piece. It's a story that follows an atheist man during World War II. The problem that he faces is that there is a book left to him by his mentor, who was a priest. After the mentor passes away, this book, an evil book with a lot of pagan powers, releases a demon into a library. This demon starts consuming his mind with doubt, which the demon is a very clear allegory to depression and intrusive thoughts. And this guy has to use his own conviction to contain this demon. Again, I actually, it's nice that I'm in the live stream, because I wanted to touch on that. I had one of the people who read the script mentioned it. I was like, you're putting a lot of Catholic messages on the book, on the film, which is interesting, because I don't know if you guys know like Tales of H.P. Lovecraft, which is like nothing. It's not really related to Catholicism at all. So like a completely different universe. I based myself way more in H.P. Lovecraft than I did in like Catholic lore. It's just I use the Catholic lore because it was the way a lot of people saw the world back then. Because at the end of the day, the movie is about conviction. It's not really just faith. It's that idea of believing in something, whatever it is. Just this character, it happens to be a Catholic. Well, that being said, I'm very aware that our Seed and Spark does a way better job at pitching my movie than I do. So whoever is here right now, or for whoever is watching us in the future, please check out sanjiakomofilm.com. It takes you immediately to our crowdfunding campaign. You can take a look at everything about our project there. And at the time of recording, we are 34% funded, and we're trying to reach 40% by the end of the week.
And we have what, like 22 days left?
Oh yeah, we have
That's
22 days left. We are funded 34% so far.
wow. Out of how
And
many days?
oh yeah, that's great. We are actually doing incredibly well. We started a week ago,
Wow.
and we already raised, and we're staying on for a month, and we're already raised 34%. So we are a third of the way,
Holy.
given that we passed a fourth of the time of the crowdfunding campaign. So
That's great.
Yeah.
it was amazing
That's a
progress
great
that we,
start so far.
so far, yeah, so far so good. But you know what? I'm not getting excited yet because everybody forgets about these kind of things halfway through the campaign. So it's
Okay.
up to everybody now
Oh
to
yeah.
keep pushing and keep telling people that this is a good story. This is a fun story. It's very weird for me to say it's a good story because I wrote it, but it is a good story, and more important, we have a lot of good people behind it, and it just brings me happiness to know that I got such a good group of people behind this project.
Yeah, and
You guys included.
I think the best part about this whole thing is like we've known each other for a few years now. So it's nothing where like school films that are made are usually made with sometimes people you don't usually work with or hang out with, but with us this time it's basically everybody we know except for like some of the actors and actresses that you've pulled in. Those are like the only
Oh,
people who
yeah.
are going to be like newish to us.
That's very interesting. You point that out, and yeah, you're absolutely right. And that shows on the budget. It's like we're trying to raise $4,000 to tell a period piece with like quite a few special effects. So like, if anybody knows anything about budget, they're gonna be like that. This is insane. You're not gonna be able to do it. The reason why we're getting so little money is because so much of it we got because people believe in the project.
Of course.
Because we already have people we know that chipped in and helped out. We already have a lot of the production design made. We already got the locations and all the gear that we need. Like this money is literally going towards props and food for the crew.
Yeah, we're going to be hungry.
And oh heck, and I want to feed you guys well because it goes back to what you said. Like everybody in the crew knows each other.
Yeah.
It's that idea that and it's not just CCH because people are like, oh, we're pulling from CCH. No, I've been working outside of CCH for like like 6 years, going 7 years now. It's like I'm bringing people that have more experience than all of us to help us out, and that that to a certain degree we're going to be able to shadow a little bit. So yeah, very exciting project. I am very excited to be spearheading this, and I'm a very specific guy. Like to have something that I actually like to the point of crowdfunding for it. It's huge, and I can definitely tell you that this project is one of those special things. So to finish the pitch, if you haven't yet, please check out the link. Go to sanjiakomofilm.com, click
Please.
the donate button. For the price of a Starbucks coffee,
That's right.
you can make sure that we get green lit because we raised all this money. And I'll tell you this, we had one donation that was above $200. Everything else, like a good 80% of our donations were between $10 and $35.
Oh, so
We got
that's a lot
a
of
lot of people backing
donations.
us up.
That that
That
is
is
quite a
because
bit.
A lot of
I
people. Yeah.
yeah, we have a bunch of producers emailing everybody all the time. Like everybody who's in the crew, we're just emailing like, hey, remember that set that we worked together 4 years ago and never talked to you again? Yeah, check out my movie because it is annoying, but that's what you got to do. And it's incredible to see how those little donations really pile up. Because if it wasn't for those, I mean, we wouldn't even have reached 10% yet. So all the things people say that's like, oh yeah, it's the small donations that count. It really is the small donations.
Every dollar.
Yeah, and I gotta say that if you have a little more money to towards it, and it's not even a donation, it's a contribution. Technically, donation is for like tax purposes. No, you're contributing, you're becoming a part of the project, and that's very clear on the higher tiers. If you donate over $100 for us, you automatically become a producer. And you perks, you're a crew, you're coming to our screenings. There are a bunch of perks that you can check out on the website, and I beg you to go take a look. But moving on from the pitch, that was the movie pitch, and that's fine. Kyle and Austin, you guys have been working on the soundtrack now for how long? When did I approach you, Kyle?
So you approached me, I would say it's been about 2 months now.
It's 2 months.
Yeah. If it hasn't been 2 months already, it definitely has felt like 2 months, that's for sure.
It feels like more. Are you insane? It feels like way more.
Like, honestly.
I know.
Been running with this thing.
It does seem like it's been a long time, but in reality, I don't even think it's been 2 months.
You guys have done everything you've done it in less than 2 months.
I don't even think it's been 2 months.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it might have been 2 months from when I contacted Kyle the first time.
Yeah. I don't think we actually started working until, towards the end of March.
Yeah. I mean, we had, like 5-6 meetings so far, and we are having weekly meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I did ask on Instagram for questions. And
March 12th is when Rafael
March 12th
said, "Yo, Kyle, what up, dude? I'm crewing up for my thesis. I want you in my set, dude. It's great, man. It's great."
Great. Wow, it feels like a lifetime ago already.
Dang.
But yeah.
Barely a month.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to use this as a hook immediately. The one thing we did that I feel like we did it right, and we're going to keep doing it, is weekly meetings.
Oh, yes.
The fact that we're always touch base and making a case of coming in and talking for an hour or so, it's essential. This is our normal meeting. This is what we do, like Tuesdays afternoon, like Tuesdays evening. That's the time we meet. And that just kept all of us connected and aware of what each other is thinking.
Dude, I think like the best part about it too is it doesn't just benefit you or just us. It benefits both of us, because while you're getting everything still set up and all of that, we're getting like all the description that we need from you about what you're gonna be shooting, how you're wanting shooting it, the time, the era, all of that. And we're able to mix it in based on like what we think would sound good for that time and that type of movie. Yeah. And I think it's good for you to hear it, our melodies that we make for you before we actually finish a whole song, so you can kind of get the idea of what you actually want for the music, instead of just like guessing it and then hoping we get it on the first try.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're jumping forward a little bit on the little points that I had, but yeah, that's true. I had so many filmmakers telling me, there's like, you don't have to worry about soundtrack right now. That's something that's just gonna limit your editing. It's gonna like cement your vision. I heard a bunch of arguments, but I'll tell you this: we were shooting our first scenes this Friday. I had the soundtrack playing the entire time that I was giving directions to the actors. Because I noticed that was the only way I could get them into the real. Because here's the thing: 90% of directing is acting, 90% of directing is casting, right? And I casted people that I know are gonna work great with us. They're beautiful. Samuel and Fabian are amazing actors, and they are the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. The problem is Samuel's character is supposed to be kind of a dick. Samuel's the nicest person you'll ever meet. He's so polite, he's so solicit, he's always there, he wants to help. So to get him in that vibe, I just played the very end of the second song that you guys made, when it's like really battle. And I just let him like with headphones listen to that song on a dark corner for like 5, and he came out looking like he was about to murder me. That was beautiful. So I never thought it became a tool to help us like really get in the vibe of the characters, which was great.
And just for you guys, real quickly, I'm sorry, Rafi, the music that you just heard in the background just now was literally the ending of the second song. So it was kind of funny that you were talking about it then.
Yeah, it's so because like I have the Twitch muted because I was
Yeah,
like
of
I'm
course.
because but yeah, the songs that you guys created are playing right now in the soundtrack in the background, and I think that's a great time to jump into the next part of the stream, which is like let's actually listen to the song,
Okay.
and I want to break down and just remember a little bit about the process we went through.
Yeah, of course. So we should just start from 1 to 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and start on the first one. Everyone, just to be safe, let's go ahead and mute the mics.
Okay.
Okay, and here is the first song.
Sanctus Dominus Deus Sabaoth, dona eus requiem, que tollis peccata, Sanctus Dominus Deus Sabaoth, Hosanna in excelsis, Benisunt
Okay, so that was the first song in the soundtrack. Guys, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself now in the Discord.
Alrighty.
Oh yeah, go well remembered.
And
Sup, Django?
Yeah, we see you there. And that's right, we are some sick old bastards making some beautiful music and live streaming.
He comes in right when we're just chilling and listening to the song.
Yeah, good timing.
This song is the perfect example of how to mix what's going on.
I just like made an earthquake on my desk.
Okay, that was the perfect example of how to create mood with a song. Do you guys remember the first ever like version of the song?
Yeah, I do. It was really plain compared to what we just listened to. And it was mainly just the cello playing the melody, but I remember like we had problems with it maybe being too fast and, changing the tone way too quickly from one another instead of slowing it down and making it more intense. I remember those were some of the notes you gave me about that, and Austin as
I
well.
remember that. Yeah. There was that one, and I remember too that the scale was a bit too repetitive. That
Oh
was
yeah,
one of the things. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
very very plain.
I remember the first one that we sent to you was definitely more of just a melody, and it was great. We got your feedback, and we were able to flesh it out a little bit more and give it more character, to what it is now.
hmm
On the note of the characters, how did you think of putting the sirens and the war sounds at the beginning of the song? Because that's something that throughout our meetings I never thought about. And then when I heard, I was like, yes, this is amazing.
We just really wanted to set the tone for what was going on. We know it takes place during the Blitzkrieg and in London. So even though there's not necessarily bombings going on during the film, we wanted to get that same feeling. We wanted to portray and show the audience where they're at immediately from listening to the first bit of the film, where the song, right there, it puts you right on the ground and during the time period.
Yeah, man.
And it's a classic sound. Like you know where you are as soon as you hear that kind of like sirens,
Oh
even
yeah.
if it's today, good place.
Yeah, man. Like another thing about it was like the script breakdown too that you did, where you just kind of explained everything. You said like similar movies to like the film you're trying to make. We looked at all of that, and that's kind of like how we just kept pulling ideas of the type of sound you're wanting for each song.
Yeah,
And
it was
so,
really about just humming stuff until we thought it sounded good.
yeah.
Just singing stuff. We would sit in our room, crack open a few beers and try to. We would just sing at each other for hours and try
Yeah.
to come up with something that sounded remotely okay, and then we kind of refined it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We would literally just try and be in sync with each other. Like if he'd start like humming something, I'd try and like, make a beat to it or try and be the percussion or vice versa.
it's funny because like this is the first time we're going through this process. I mean, me too. I never worked with a composer before. Normally, I'm the easy, like I'm the cheap, lazy director that just gets whatever free song kind of matches.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I wanted to go all out for this one, and I tried my best to give you guys as much as I could, as far as material to pull from. And I gave you guys like temp songs that I thought you'd agreed,
Oh, yes.
pictures, the deck, the like. What what of those things were the most useful to you?
For me
You know,
personally, I'm gonna say definitely the script breakdown. Austin, how about you?
I remember you told me at one point that you told me just a few simple words. You said think uh the Indiana Jones mixed with The Exorcist,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's I remember you said that, and that stuck with me a lot. I was like, Indiana Jones mixed with The Exorcist. Okay, I like that, and that was just kind of like in my head. I just kept thinking about that, and I'm like, well, is this really Indiana Jones mixed with The Exorcist, Austin? Do we really want to go here? And then I think it, and then I would go back to the drawing board. So I think that's kind of like my guidelines throughout this whole process has been, you know, that those
Yeah.
what you said to me.
Funny enough, that's where like the bassoon came in the beginning of the first song. Was the Indiana Jones type of vibe, right in the beginning, like
Yeah,
that mysteriousness to like what's about to happen.
that's so good. It's funny because like it's the director head. I want to give you images. I want to give you stuff. I want to micromanage. And it's funny, like the easiest thing, the things you guys needed the most was like nothing to do with the imagery or it's the script breakdown, and then like one phrase between our talks.
Yeah, man. It's kind of weird,
Yeah,
but like
It,
it worked.
it did. It really
it does,
stuck
no,
with
it does.
me.
You just, I guess you kind
It's
of just do whatever works best for you. That's how everybody always succeeds in their way, is
yeah,
doing
it is
what
terrifying to
suits them.
me though because I word vomit when I've noticed that I word vomit when I'm in meetings with you guys because I just want to help.
Yeah.
I say a lot of things that if you catch it, like if you get stuff from our first meeting and compared to the meetings we're having now, I'm sure I'm contradicting myself in a bunch of points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to know. But yeah, and you're right. It is Indiana Jones meets The Exorcist. That's the elevator pitch. That's
Yeah.
what the heart of the project really is. That's so good. Yeah, and now the voices on the song. That's
Oh,
something. Uh, how do you do the voices?
so the are so for the
I
first
yeah.
song was honestly it's Austin basically. So the one thing we did was we had a bass start, which was we had this MIDI keyboard, and we used this choir, like men's choir and a women's choir, and we kind of literally just made the most basic melody
Sketched
of
it.
what we wanted, and then Austin went over it, and then just um, uh, what is the word I'm looking for right now? Um, Synchronized with it, and then gave it its cherry on top to making it sound like from just a keyboard to an actual choir by layering himself over and over again. And he did a lot of work in that, and a lot of um, uh, recording his voice. Like he probably spent, I would say, about 4 hours in total making voices, just singing.
Yeah, it was definitely a task, especially when sometimes you would come over, Kyle would come over really early in the morning because there were certain notes that are just absurd for me to try to hit normally. It would never happen. There's no way, and I would have to wake up um early in the morning when my voice was lower and able to hit some notes and record literally within 30 minutes of waking up so that my vocal cords were still able to resonate and make those notes. And when you go throughout the day, your vocal cords, they don't make the you can't reach some of the notes you can when you wake up. So it was some days it was a matter of waking up, going into the studio here and just recording as fast as I could, as clearly as I could before I wasn't able to sing anymore with those notes.
Holy, wait, so it's not just a thing where you can record your own voice and just like bring the pitch down.
No, that doesn't work. No, I mean, I mean, I don't like doing it that way. It just doesn't sound right. It doesn't
Yeah,
sound,
does it sound like
it doesn't sound
natural?
good. There's definitely, you can tell when that's present. It just sounds very unnatural. Like Kyle said, it's not the greatest. So whenever I can, I always try to get genuine sounds. I don't like the idea of, trying to replicate something. I like to do everything genuinely. So that also goes
Sounds a
for not
lot.
only the voices but the stringed instruments as well. I recorded over multiple times, just like I did with my voice, with the violins and violas. So there's a lot of live string instruments in there as well.
Hmm.
You know what? I like even for me who doesn't really like work with music on a daily basis like you guys do, like I can tell that. On the I don't think I would be able to tell on the voices, but it's definitely on the string instrument. I feel like everybody heard the keyboard like answer like when they just select on the keyboard for string instruments.
Mhm.
And whenever I saw the pictures you guys sent to me of you guys with the violin in the studio, I was like, that's why it sounds so good. It's an actual violin.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
biggest thing is that I have like the biggest passion for stringed instrument, orchestral instruments, I should say, and it just pains me to see when there's so much MIDI involved. And for those who don't know what MIDI is, it's just a keyboard. It's a controller that is able to that's able to pretty much you can put in different instrument noises and replicate an instrument. And it's great for sketching out stuff, but in the end, it's always best to go with a real instrument if you can, just to fill everything out and make it sound more genuine and true to life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing with voices. Then how many layers of Austin are in this song then?
In the first song, I would say about 40. There's about 40 of me in there.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
That's something you haven't told me yet. I had no idea. I was like, okay, he put like five of him.
Yeah.
No, no, there's a lot more than five. Yeah.
Hey,
Is it like you do one audio and then you add pitches and you make modify, or you
No, no,
recorded
I
tracks?
record the entire track, stop recording, create a new track, record the entire track, stop recording, create a new track, and do that 40 times.
Oh man. It's also it's important to note that the song that we released on the crowdfunding campaign is a mix of the two songs we're talking about here.
mhm,
And other than the live stream, nobody will ever hear the song again unless they pledge on the
that's right.
crowdfunding.
And on top of that, real quickly, just for anybody in the stream, go ahead if you have any comments for any of us. I mean, we have the director Rafi here, and then the two co-composers, myself, and then Austin, the main composer. If you have any questions for us, go ahead and type them in the chat. But anyways, on with the first song. Another thing that we also had to do with Austin's 40 tracks of voices was we had to kind of separate them a little bit. Like they weren't in sync with each other. One started a half a second before the other one, is to make it sound like a real orchestra. I mean, not orchestra, a real
A real choir.
choir is singing, because not everybody is going to be perfectly on the dot singing at the exact same time. And that's really
Yeah.
important to do, especially when you're layering and layering your voices.
It sounds like it's almost acting on Austin's side too, because I assume you have to you try to sing each one like slightly different?
That's yeah, that's what I was just about to go into. It's really about trying to diversify the sound of your voice so that it doesn't sound like a bunch of yous talking to each other, singing together. So I really tried the best I could to, get a little bit of a different, maybe a little bit of nasally feeling into some of them a little bit darker toned, lighter toned versus darker tones. I really tried to get a good diversity in there with my voices, but at the end of the day, you're just listening to me 40 times. So it may be a little bit present that I'm in there.
I think it's very present that you're in there, 40 times present that you're in there. And it allows you to do things that a normal keyboard wouldn't be able to do. Because I mean, I swear I wasn't planning on it, but like that Gregorian chanties,
Oh
they're
yeah.
actually saying stuff. That one is so. I remember when I heard, because the first version of the song didn't have. I don't think it had any choirs. It was really just instrumentals. And the second one had a different melody and just the choir of the notes. And then the third one, which was the final one, the thing that made me go like, lock it, that's it, I love it, was when a bunch of, I assume, a bunch of Austins just start singing Gregorian chanties.
That could be correct. That could have been Austin's.
Where did you find Gregorian chanty for your song?
Well, and I've been doing choir my whole life, and growing up doing that, a lot of times we would sing a lot of music in Latin. And I'm not gonna lie to you, a lot of the time I didn't know what I was singing in when I was in choir. I would sing just because I love the way Latin sounds, and not only that, but Gregorian chants, they're in Latin, um, you know, um, pretty much all the time. I just figured I think it would be best to do a Gregorian chant in Latin, over everything, just to get, it's the same reason for why I put the air raid siren in there, and you can hear a little bit of bombings in the background, is to really build that mood, because at the end of the day, we're accompanying, your work, where we're here to make sure that we can serve the film as best as possible, to make sure that you portray your vision on it.
Yeah. Wow. And it's funny, just to finish up on the sirens and the bombings. I remember a whole discussion that we had was to not dabble too much into the sound design,
Yeah.
as it would be, there is no bombing happening during the movie, and people would think like, okay, there's bombing happening as we're watching the
Hmm.
movie. And you guys made a great job of just fading that into the song and like combining the notes in a way that, at least for me, it sounds like the yeah, the bombs and the sirens are literally part of the song. Just perfect. Is that, but yeah, the Gregorian chanties, the sirens and the bombs, the scales, and the 40 Austins are like the main things I remember about this one. Do you guys have any other notes or any comments on the creation of this song?
Um, no, I don't think so. I
I
think
mean,
they
I would just
basically.
say I would just say something to anyone who's trying to make music like this. Just really it's as simple as humming to yourself, getting down a nice melody, building off of it. It's like Legos. You got to
True.
get yourself a nice foundation. One of the things that really does kill the process is trying to start a song from beginning to end. And you start out like, oh, how is this going to sound in the beginning? I want it to sound eerie, and then but then it has to be loud in the middle of it, and we want it to be fast paced, with drums. So rather than I guess focusing on how you're going to get to that point, I guess it's important to start with the meat of the song, and then build the limbs of it, I guess you could say. Build the beginning and end, and then accompany the main chunk of the song. So that's just a piece of advice that I would have for anyone who's trying to write music or trying to come up with
Yeah,
anything like that. Is don't worry about start to finish. Worry about a good melody is really what you need. Is
that's
really
true.
just key.
Yeah, because like we came up with the melody first for that first song, and you don't even hear the melody until almost 2 minutes into it. So that's what we did is we literally started with the core and then built around that. We built the before and we're like, oh, what do we want coming into
Which
this?
is
And then we're
interesting
like,
too.
oh, what do we want to
The
end with?
melody, the melody is what people are going to remember at the end of the day. Like
Mm-hmm.
that the first thing you created is the thing that people are going to hum out of the movie theaters in a big theater in a big screening. So it makes sense that that's the first thing you're working around. And I think in chat agrees with us because Django is saying that that was amazing work, guys.
Yes, thank you, Django. Love that.
The
Appreciate it, man.
most You are the most optimistic, like high energy, nice dude I've ever met, dude. Thank you so much for hanging out too, Django. Appreciate you.
Yes, man.
But but talking about process then, if we're touching on that, because you said like the first thing you guys did was just hum at each other to find the melody for 4 hours at your house. Once you get a melody, something you like, do you wait until you feel like you struck gold, or do you just get something that you think looks like sounds good and you can work from there?
You
Yes
know,
and no. That's what I'm gonna
yeah,
say. Austin, go
yeah.
ahead.
It's all about finding what works. I mean, we never strike gold because, I mean, you got to search first. So we don't go straight to striking gold, I should say. There's a lot of variations. I mean, we've had it where we worked on an entire minute of a song, and me and Kyle listened to it, and it just didn't work. So I deleted, we delete the whole thing, start over. So back to square one. We have our melody. Let's just build off of that again. See what works with it until we find something that we think sounds presentable, that we think we can definitely build off of. Like I said earlier, it's about the foundation. And once we get that foundation, then it's a process, rather than striking gold. It's more of constructing a mine to find gold in. It's you're building something. So it's definitely the process of trial and error, and there's a lot of error. Don't get me wrong.
No, and I think it's very important for you to touch on that because I know a lot of people who would get. I mean, let's be honest, I would be terrified to work in half of my part. Like a normal song would have 2 minutes, to work on something halfway through it and then just, you know what, I'm not really feeling it, and just scratching it and starting from the ground again. So that's, I don't know. I don't even know if I would be able to do that. I guess kudos. And
I
thank the
guess
Lord, 'cause
that's the
that's exactly what he
perfectionist.
did.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he did on the second one. That-
That's very true.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's the best time to use the hook to pull the second one.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It-
agree.
Go for
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the second one, that's exactly what happened. You had something that was completely different.
Now,
And
before we go into the second one, I do want to say that we'll tell the story afterwards about how this went over, but we had something and it did go into it evolved into a completely different song, and I will say that it's cool to see how stuff can change on a dime and evolve into something that you didn't think it would be, but then it does turn into something different and better, and it's cool.
that first version evolved into a whole different song.
That first version has nothing to do. What you heard has nothing to do with the song I showed you. It's a different song.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
completely
Oh yeah.
different song.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
yeah, we'll talk about that after listening to that one. Before I'd cut, I'll mute myself here.
No. All right. Yep. So yeah, let's do the muting real quickly, and then I'll get it started. Okay, here we go. Song number 2, Purgatory. All right. So that was the end of the second song. All
Yeah.
right.
So actually, that's funny that you played that one, because for
Yep.
everyone watching, that was actually a mistake. We were supposed to play another. That was the song that I was speaking about before, just before this, where we were working, and we kind of thought we had something, but it wasn't exactly what we liked, and that right there was the example, where we really we kind of had it, but it wasn't quite there. So we decided to kind of build off of the same energy, and create something a lot more worthy and intense. And I feel that it was a good stepping stone. But just so you guys know, that song was actually not a part of the official soundtrack. So a little sneak peek for all of you, and maybe
Oh yeah.
a last peek.
I feel like that's the only time everybody's gonna hear the song. But it was,
Yeah.
I think, Was it you who typed in the chat, Austin? On the
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like this is the old song. It's like that's perfect. It's meant because like let's be honest, it's a great song. It's not a bad song at all. Django, see that was awesome. Makes me want to play Dark Souls. Yes, exactly. So much of the meeting before we making this was talking about Dark Souls. We were talking. Dark Souls was by far the mention, and I remember that at the beginning of the song we said that's when we get into the boss, and then as soon as we give the first selection to the boss and they actually wake up, that's the second half of the song.
Hmm.
But it just goes to show that sometimes it's not if something is good or bad, because I don't think this is bad at all. This is amazing. It's just it wasn't the right fit for the project we are planning on doing.
Right.
It's just it's not the vibe of the movie. Especially if you hear the first one, the sirens and the chanties and that, you just see that building into something. If you were to connect those two, like we did, for the one that we released for the crowdfunding, it wouldn't evolve to this one. This one evolves on itself. It starts brilliantly and it finishes great, but it's just not the same vibe. And it was so hard for me as a director listening to the song on our meeting with both of you looking at me waiting for feedback to just like no because you can tell so much work went into it, and you guys completely was like no, you know what, I understand, and that's why I respect the living crap out of you guys. It's you just went with like yeah, you're right, I understand what you mean, and you're not afraid of completely scratching all the hard work you did and starting from scratch, if that means that you're going to end up with a best final project.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the kind of person that you want to have in your project, as a director and a producer, which makes me so happy to have you guys on board.
Yeah, man. I
We
mean,
appreciate.
it's been fun making the music from beginning to end. And just like what you said, sometimes the songs just don't work out. And this basically was the beginning of how we were going to make the actual, like, the next song to what you were wanting for the fight scene, which is, the last main song, which is the one that we um, finished off of how we made this second song. We kind of started like this, and then, yeah, you said, not quite what I'm going for, so we're like, okay, we got to make it then more darker, more of a fight, more of the dark is winning, but the light is still there. None of them are giving up, but none of them are just gonna let it go that easily. And so that's what we really had to think about for recreating this second song to make it sound like a better fight scene.
And you are touching, I think, on the difference between just a soundtrack and just a piece of music, because as a piece of music that works great, but the problem is that the soundtrack needs to work on one more layer, which is I need to listen to that song, and the song needs to tell me a story,
Hmm.
you know, without any words. And this song tells me a story, but it's not the story that we were telling in the movie,
Yeah.
Correct.
which is, I feel like that's the major problem with any soundtrack is being generic or telling the wrong story.
Right.
Yeah, but it with that springboard now with the fresh, old song, we can play the actual fighting song for the movie.
Yes.
People are going to be able to see the complete difference, the day and night, where you guys went from where you guys started and where did you guys go. Yeah, and by the way, that was in 1 week.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to point it out that in singer praises, because from the Tuesday that I said that was not what I wanted, on that Saturday, you guys had the song ready for me, and
Actually, the opposite. You told us on Saturday it wasn't what you wanted, and we had it on Tuesday.
Oh yeah, 3 days.
oh yeah, you're
Yeah,
right,
3 days.
you're
3 days.
right. You did that in 3 days. So it took us a week to make this song, and you guys just crammed the weekend and just did that in 3 days. That was insane.
Yeah, man. But yeah, let's get into how the second song became the actual second song. All right. Here it is, the fight scene. third or second, shall I say, in the original soundtrack that will be out. The second song of it.
Completely different.
Completely different. Like,
Water and wine is.
it would be so difficult for people to quite understand how that first part of it that we showed compared to this one, how they're similar. But the similarities are how the music goes throughout. It's the build up. It's the, it's nice and light in the beginning, but not really, to now it's beginning to get intense. But then, oh, now you think it's done, but it's really not. Now Cthulhu's coming.
It's weird to me because I don't do music, so it's very weird to me to understand how you go from one to another. That's something that I think I will never understand in your guys' head, is like, how can you guys just scratch one of those, but at the same time not really scratch it, because I can feel the other one still in here somehow, even though it's completely different. But I feel like having the example you can really notice. Uh, I will not read Django's comments. Uh, Whatever you do, it's fun. Yo, Loki, this is the song that I was playing on set on Friday to the actors to let them get in to let them get in the moments for this. It's like, hey, you know what? This happened. This, you know what? Just come here. Just listening to this. Just be by yourself and just listen to this a little bit. It is the movie. This song is the movie. When I heard it for the first time, I got goosebumps, and I listened to a second and third time in a row, and then I screamed for Jayla for her to come in and watch it and listen to the song as well, and then I just proceeded to sing her praises for the next 45 minutes of that meeting.
Yeah.
But that is that's the movie, and it's not something I can pinpoint. It's just I felt it,
You felt
and
it
this is the clear
throughout.
song. Yeah, I just threw out, just like Django felt it right now.
So
On
you
the
couldn't even, like, even though it's hard for you to point it out, give us your absolute favorite part of it, of that song, and like
that
why.
my favorite part of the song is I don't remember what comes before it, but it's when there's like a tiny little silence, and it just hits one very long deep note.
The
Like, I
the
think
the
it's like
Are you
bass.
talking about
da-da-da-da.
all of the horns that I have?
Yes, the
I
horns
have,
are like
yeah,
bah,
yeah,
bah.
yeah. I wanted to have that to sort of symbolize, the massive Cthulhu.
Yes,
You know,
I hear that. I think like
like
Godzilla.
him, like rising, like yeah, like
Yeah,
rising out of like the water or something off in the distance, and you just hear that.
that's exactly what I see. And it's so weird because it's like it's a song. We know what we are. It's like war horns. And some
If you want to know where I really got the inspiration from, was if you've seen War of the Worlds. That noise that
the
they do.
machines.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That noise really inspired me because, dude, when I was growing up, that terrified me. That noise terrified me. Watching, especially the Tom Cruise, when he was running away from these things, and you just hear them when they come. The tripods, they just come, and you hear that loud, almost sounds like a horn. So I
That's
kind of I kind of
exactly.
wanted to give that same feeling off.
I wonder if that's the movie that makes everybody in this generation associate this sound with just massive things.
Yeah, I mean, it might
It
be. It
is,
might be.
right? It really is, because like after that, everything that has bigger like uh, Pacific Rim, Godzilla, King Kong, all of them at some point have just a big, deep horn. It's almost there's its own language to soundtracks, like filmmaking. The difference
Mhm.
between close up, a low angle, a high angle, like all that stuff. Each shot gives you a different feeling, and it tells you a different message. It's the same thing with the song. Yeah, but I think the main thing about this project was a huge change with a crazy turnaround of 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I after we had gotten out of that meeting, I remember I slept on it, and I remember you told us to adapt it to make it sound more fast paced, and I just knew there's no way, there's no way to make that work. So I texted Kyle and I said, hey, I think we need to. This was on Sunday. I texted Kyle and I said, I think we need to, start over, completely start over, scrap that, start over. Let's try something new. Let's try something new. But you know, um, I still I liked the timpani that I had. The timpani is the loud drums at the beginning, and that's the feeling that I wanted to keep was the loud drums, the intensity. Um, so that's why in this new song in the fight song we really incorporated those timpanis a lot, and really loud instruments, just to not for the sake of being loud, but for the sake of portraying what's going on screen, and that it's significant. It's a significant scene, and not something over dialogue, or it's there for a purpose, which is pretty much what I got from it. And I wanted to make it seem like the song had a purpose, rather than just, like you said earlier, just being an accompaniment, just, or not necessarily an accompaniment, just being music rather than a soundtrack. So I like how you said that earlier, that there is definitely a big difference between music and a soundtrack, which is that was the turnaround that kind of me and Kyle had, where it like flipped a switch in our mind. We were like, okay, now we get it. So it needs to be more like this, rather than like this, and I think that's what really made it happen.
It's interesting because, like you just said that the feedback that I gave you was like maybe make it a little faster, and I remember that meeting like it was yesterday, listening to the song and having no idea how to give you feedback. Because I didn't want to be the director that just goes like, no, didn't like it, try something different. I was like, okay, they both put a lot of hard work into the song. It's not a bad song by any means. How can I how can we fix it and bring it into something I like? So most of my feedback was maybe we can try this on the song and maybe we can try that, or and it's I guess the question I have to you guys is what do you think makes a good feedback from someone that doesn't understand music like you guys does that
Um,
make sense? Because I
Yeah.
don't really, I'm giving feedback to you guys on a weekly basis now. And I mean, half of the time, I don't even know if what I'm saying is right because I'm trying to just express my feelings towards the song without having
And
the proper
that's the
vocabulary.
best thing to do. That's the
yeah.
best thing you can do, is in your in the language of, just not musical language, but speaking from a film term. um you did exactly what we needed you to do, where you told us what you wanted, and you gave us examples of feelings of stuff. And that's exactly what we want. That's exactly what works, is examples. Because at the end of the day, if you try to it's very hard to come up with something completely unique, completely brand new. um you got to come up with something that already has been done, not the melody wise, but instrument wise, and feeling wise, like the feeling of the song. So that was great, because I know you gave us some examples, of some really loud, you wanted it to be loud, a fight song, intense. And that was probably the best thing, instead of trying to speak in music terms, which I don't even think we would understand as well as trying to interpret what you say into music. It's a lot more fun, I think, and a lot more enjoyable, and a lot easier to create music, based off of, not simple, but basic, uh like basic, what is the word I'm looking for, like starting point, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm. That makes sense. At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is very simple. So I guess keeping the feedback simple and really rooted on the emotion and the story is maybe the best advice here
Yeah.
that I need to take.
I think just like links and comparisons to stuff. Because, like, we all have watched, movies from when we were younger to even now. Because movies have been around since we've been around. So we've watched a lot and we've listened to a lot of music that comes from it. And so you already know the type of vibes that you want for each scene when you're creating your own film like you are. And every time, like, you're telling us, like, we want this fight scene and we want it to, let's just say you go, we want it to sound like Mortal Kombat and the game Left 4 Dead mixed. Even though, like, that's, like, crazy sounding, like, that's at least an idea of, like, which direction we need to go.
Yeah, like,
which
now
type
what
of
genres
instruments
are we going to listen to?
Yeah, now we can, cut out
for
some
inspiration.
instruments that we don't need to use, and then we can start looking at the instruments that are still on the board that we can use.
That's amazing. I never thought of it like that. From someone that don't understand, it's like I try to be as technical as possible because the idea is like, oh, the more technical I am, the more they're going to be able to fine tune into what I'm trying to accomplish here. But at the end of the day, it goes to that idea of, like, for any director out there, that's that. I'm very lucky that I know you guys for a long time. I've known you guys for a long time now, and I trust you guys' artistic vision. So I guess it's easier for me to go like, okay, this is the basic stuff that I want. Like that, this is the feeling, this is the emotion, this is a couple of examples of things, and just let you go in that trust that you guys know what's best for me as professionals.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of directors, friends of mine, even from our school, that like they're so like on that auteur feeling, that auteur idea that's like
Yeah.
they just want to micromanage everything. And at the end of the day, even if they come out with a movie that's good, it's going to be as good as he can make it. When if he allows other professionals to help them, it can be as good as the combined effort can make it.
True.
Mhm.
Very true.
Maybe that's the most important lesson at the end of this.
Oh yeah. Filmmaking is collaborative.
Yeah.
Now, for this one, how many Austins did I hear?
A lot more than the first one. I would
Yeah,
say.
a lot more. And I made my debut in this one too.
Yeah, Kyle
Yeah.
made his musical debut by speaking a lot of the beginning. You heard all the whispering.
Yeah.
What would you say, Kyle? Altogether, we had 140 tracks. So
Of
we had of everything.
okay,
and
so with the whisper
everything.
and the
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and at the beginning of the song, we probably had 50 people whispering, and then on top of that, we used the same tracks for vocals as well. So we just recorded, the eerie whispering, all the noises at the beginning, and that was a fun process. We pretty much just sat here in front of a mic and made the most absurd noises and sentences that we could possibly think of, and there's so many of them that you can't hear anything unless you play it in reverse. Don't play it in reverse.
Yeah.
Oh shit! No, don't say that.
I'm just kidding. There's nothing in reverse for all you people who think
Yes,
that there's
no.
hidden
It's
messages.
impossible to encrypt anyways because we have stuff going regular way
No,
and
it's-
reversed way.
Yeah, it's funny because you said like you had the one that was like there was one version, and I feel like that's safe to say there was a version of the song that's just like R-rated. The things are said by the book. That beginning of the song where you hear the whispers of the book and you have people screaming like
Yeah.
that was way there. And even in the R version, I was like, wait, what did he say? You guys just had so many voices in it. It was insane.
Yeah, man. I mean, we needed to go for the sounds of hell, like the place hell. We wanted to make it.
I
sound
think
like
you
those-
accomplished it.
We wanted to make sure, like, it was sounding like people were like not having fun wherever they were.
If you listen closely, you can hear Kyle scream out in agony in the background
Yeah.
a few times.
That's very
He's-
true.
There was a lot of wailing into the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Kyle, real quick, is the song keep playing? The song still playing in the background?
No. Would you like it in the background?
I mean, might as well kept it playing now.
For sure.
We're coming to the end here.
Yeah.
We talked about
Let me put the
like both.
Bison back in the background right now. Boom.
And it's amazing because this one is a way, it just feels like a way more complex song than the first one. And yet you guys did it in such a like stupid amount of time. So freaking short. Then now you guys are screwed because I expect all the other songs to be done this fast. No, that's a joke. You guys have been insanely helpful in this project. And I never heard of another director, at least in our school, at least in our group of friends and in my school, that try to bring the music this early into the process. And I'm not saying that I'm oh shit because I'm amazing and I did that. No, it's because I mean I had you guys with me and I trust you guys and I knew you guys were gonna get into the project at some point. It was like, well, might as well start now. And it turned out to be way more helpful than I ever thought it was going to be, to the point that I was like, you know what, this is going to be a major part of the crowdfunding campaign. I want people to see what our team is actually able to do. And you guys are like the perfect advertisement for the level of talent we have in this crew, because you guys killed it with both of those songs. I would never imagine an orchestra. With no, this last ass kissing that I gave you guys, I do have a few. Think like we can end up on the ass kissing. I did ask for people on the live stream warnings, no warnings, like the notifications for this for questions related to sound, and I got a few questions that like people send me to ask you guys.
Yeah.
A lot of them are translated from Brazil because Portuguese, because they it's I think it's what time is it, 8 like 1 down there.
Quick question: Can you ask the question in Portuguese first and then ask us in English?
Oh sure, why not?
Okay.
Let me sure. Okay. O que eu preciso para criar as minhas próprias soundtracks? That was a question.
Okay. Yes. So to your question, no more further questions.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, exactly.
The question is like, what do I need to create my own soundtracks?
Not a lot, not a whole lot. I mean, obviously you need to have a general. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with everyone here, especially I mean, you guys already know, but for everyone who's watching, I never, other than violin and viola, and cello, I don't know how to read sheet music. I don't know how to read music. I can't play guitar. I learn by ear, and that's something that I think if you're trying to make a soundtrack, it's important that you're able to distinguish notes from each other. That's really the only basic thing you need to know, is how to distinguish notes from each other and know which patterns go good together. And that really just goes based off of listening to a lot of soundtracks, to a lot of scores, specific to what you're wanting to do. That way you get the basic structure of what you're wanting, and maybe what kind of instruments go well together, what instruments don't go well together. But really, money is not an issue, because if you have basic like a laptop, you don't even need a keyboard. There's free audio software, and if you want to know what we use personally, there is a free version of it. We actually use an audio software called Reaper, and it's great for not only starting out, but it's great for when you're on the professional level and you're trying to not only write but mix, and you can also import video and score to videos in there. So it's a great free piece of software for making music, because it comes with some free sounds. And if you look on the internet, there's all kinds of free plugins for keyboards, or you can bring them into this software, and even turn your normal keyboard into an instrumental keyboard that you would type with. Yeah. There's all kinds of ways to create music. So you don't need anything in particular. I mean, even if you don't have that, There's GarageBand, which you can get on your phone. There's all kinds of ways to create music. It's just that basic, singing to yourself, humming to yourself until you come up with something that is usable, not just usable, but usable to where you can repeat it in different variations and turn it into a full-fledged song rather than just a melody, a tune. But there's not a whole lot of stuff you need on the technical side. It's just mostly listening to a lot of music, and getting the feeling of what you want, and knowing just knowing based off of listening, really, is what I would say.
Yeah. I mean, you can even just have a microphone too. If you have those instruments, play them live, like what we did with the violin/viola, and with the vocals too. Like, that's the best way that you can, show your talent on how good you are at a certain instrument or how good you are at singing. And you can find loops to add it in to that. There's free loops everywhere you go on the internet. If you can just sync it up to that too, that's a great way of just like, dabbling around the areas of editing and actually producing the music. So there's always that way to go as well.
And just for someone that doesn't know a lot about music, what are loops?
So a loop is like a preset melody that somebody made for you. And it's just like, how people have like rap battles, and they just like have like a loop with no one singing to it. That's what.
Just like
That's
that
what
rhythm
Yeah,
that
yeah.
keeps
it's
repeating.
less used in orchestral music, but
Oh
it's
yeah,
used.
100%.
It's great for getting, like we said, getting down a basic idea of what you want. Especially when you don't have knowledge of music at all. You can start with a loop and get a feeling down. You can get the feeling going. Maybe even if you're not going to use the percussion, you could have a percussion line going, basic drum line. Just kind of feel it, and then just start trying to come up with something. Play a piano to it. If you don't know how to play piano, hum to it, sing to it. Get out your phone, record yourself singing something that you think sounds good, and keep it. Don't if you're gonna record something, or if you're gonna not record, but if you're trying to come up with a melody or trying to come up with something in a song, always have something to record your voice so that you don't forget it and don't lose it. Because
Oh yeah.
sometimes, going off of what you said earlier, striking gold, there's not necessarily striking gold in creating and finishing a song, but there's striking gold in coming up with a melody.
Oh,
And
very much.
if you lose that melody, it can be the worst day that you've had in a while, because then it's on the tip of your tongue, like, oh, what was it? It was so original, it was so good, but I can't think of it. Which is, you always want to be recording your voice when you're brainstorming melodies.
And don't worry too when you listen back on it, because everybody hates their own voice. Okay.
Just like the
So
first
you
cut
just
of a
have to-
film.
You gotta have some rough skin to listen to yourself, and just accept what you're listening to is just the melody and not how you sound, because you're gonna build off the melody you just recorded. And then, as well with that, like Rafi, how many times do you catch yourself singing in the shower or something, or maybe making like a beat, and then like you're like, oh, that was amazing, and then you forget about it.
Oh, like a million times. I kind of suck because if I'm singing something that I come up with, I immediately migrate to something else that I really love.
Yeah.
Okay, so which means that immediately, like, I start something that I like, and that turns into Small Town Girl or Beach Boys
I know
or
exactly
something,
what you mean. Yeah.
and then suddenly whatever I composed at the beginning like completely goes away from my head, and I'm singing this other song that I really like.
Oh yeah. That is such a common thing, and it's so hard to deal with, because it really can make you make a song, realize after you've actually listened to what you've created that it's already been made. Not necessarily already been made, but you listen to something and say, wait a minute, wasn't I just watching this yesterday? Or like, yeah, like it's just it's your brain will play tricks on you, so it's important, just like an essay, proofread, listen to everything you do multiple times and make sure, is this it, or can I do better, or can I do, can I advance this to make it something more, more fleshed out? Just proof listening. You know, listen to what you do a lot and build off of that. And it is going to be painful to listen to.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I'm gonna jump in between the questions because you guys just went into a bunch of great techniques and great like things you can do to to increase your productivity and make your process better. And there's a question for the exact opposite of that. And it's like, what are the programs or techniques that you have tried that you find they suck? It's like things you've tried and you do not recommend.
Oh, that I don't recommend? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say just for myself because this is how I feel about it. I personally can't do loops, even though I said like that's a good way. A lot of people do. I just don't. It just doesn't work for me. I'd rather create my own loop. That's what I have to say about that. I'm not contradicting myself necessarily. I'm just saying that personally doesn't work for me.
You're saying that it is a tool that's out there, but you're still using loops. You just create your own.
Yeah, I prefer to create my own because it just feels more natural for me than trying to go off of what somebody else created.
Yeah. Now, that's definitely something that's true. Is that loops are great to start. I wouldn't. I mean, I would go as far as to say I don't recommend using loops in the final product. Now, loops are great, like I said earlier, to get started, to build on the song.
Yes.
But once you get to a point, you know, you got to get that metronome going, and you got to just try to stay on beat and get it out how you need it to be. You know, because loops can be very repetitive and take away from music, and take away from the creativity.
It's interesting because like you didn't use loop, but like though I remember that.
Yeah, we don't use loops.
The iterations.
Yeah.
In one of the iterations of the music I created that you guys created for this project, I remember that one of my major critiques was that it was very repetitive.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like even for someone that doesn't, you as soon as you hear a repetition that goes perfectly from you realize, even if you're not a professional, you hear it, and it sounds easy.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we distinct the difference. There is a difference between a loop and a melody that's repeating.
Mm-hmm.
So a loop is almost a kit. A kit and a loop can be almost the same thing.
One and the same.
Because you know, it's something that someone has created for you to accompany at this point. Like a loop is, or you know, a loop for us would be creating something, copying and pasting it over and over and over. And a melody, you know, you could make a melody that sounds very repetitive and almost sounds boring, like it could be a loop. But it is important to note that a loop would be something that you would download as an audio file, an MP3 file or a WAV file, and drag into your actual song itself rather than recording something and playing something.
True.
Yeah. Okay, so not recommending to use loops. Got it.
Yeah. Another thing that I wouldn't recommend just off the bat is a lot of people talk about Pro Tools. I'm not hating on Pro Tools. Avid Pro Tools is great. It's not the best for when you're trying to start out. It's there's a thing called the VST plugin, and it's what you use to get the instruments to communicate with your keyboard, so you can, you know, play realistic sounding instruments on a keyboard, or on, you know, you could plug in a violin that could be MIDI and you could play it like a electric guitar. It's just I moved away from Pro Tools a couple years ago because it doesn't allow the same creativity that you're able to do. It's great, I would say, for mixing. When you're finished with the song, I like to import it into Pro Tools and do the levels there, and that's what I would say would be about the only use for Pro Tools is you know, leveling your music. It's smart to create your music in one software like Reaper, or people use FL Studio. There's all kinds of different they're called DAWs. It's a DAW, a digital audio workstation, and there's all kinds of them. But you know, I would say, you know, stick to Reaper or FL Studio. Don't try to dive into something like Pro Tools because somebody says it's industry standard.
It's complicated.
Because everything is industry standard, and it's very complicated to create music in. But once you've created your music, go ahead and pop it into Pro Tools. Just I wouldn't recommend creating music in Pro Tools.
Mm. Especially if you have no experience.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
sounds like a program. Good. I was looking at the other questions, like there's like two or three that were already touched and were already pretty much answered. So like there's one last one that's what is the one step you take in your process that you feel most people don't do it or that you think would help most people?
Um, one process that we do.
I feel like it's in the sense again I translated it so I can understand the meaning. It's more on the sense that like there's something you do that you feel like most people don't do it, like a little thing that you found out that it works for your process that's not common.
Um, I, man, that's a. I'm gonna have to think about that for a second.
I might have something instead of it's more of a mindset that I like to keep rather than a. It's part of the process for sure, so I'm not going to discount it. So it's a mindset that you want to keep to yourself, that you want to tell yourself, don't be afraid to follow in the footsteps of somebody that you might be inspired by. If you feel like the music you're working on, I'm not saying, plagiarism is never the right thing to do, and I don't condone it whatsoever. But if you're listening to something, especially with a score for a film, and you love the idea of it, and it's just in your head, don't be afraid to play with it a little bit, and not copying, but creating a variation of the same sound. And don't be afraid of
Remix.
to be completely. I mean, not even a remix, because that would be changing something that's already been made. Um, I would say don't be afraid to stem from something that's already been made, because that's what a lot of people will stop themselves. They'll limit themselves creatively by saying, "Oh, this melody, half of this melody sounds kind of like something that was used in this. I can't use it. It's out the door. Sorry." Um, and I myself have felt that a lot, and I learned that it's best to not be afraid of being completely not don't be afraid of being completely unoriginal. Don't be. I gotta figure out a way to word this. You should not be afraid of basing stuff off of something that's already been made,
Yeah.
because
I filmmaking too. It's like some of my most favorite films they pulled from classical black and white films, and like to the point that you can compare frames, and they're gonna be exactly the same frames. And when I'm doing films, I'm comparing my frames to frames of movies that I watched before. At the
yeah.
end of the day, I understand that it's not something that like just us, like a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't. And I feel like that is a huge divider, a huge obstacle that most people don't pass. So, like, don't be afraid of and again, yeah, plagiarism. There's a line
It's
there
it's
between
just it's like you
plagiarism
said. Don't try to
and
be an auteur.
inspiration.
Don't try to be too much of an auteur, like you said with the directing side. You can't always be the crazy. Don't strive to be a Quentin Tarantino all the time, because even Quentin Tarantino has taken stuff from a lot of things himself.
But yeah,
So a lot of people will say, I'm gonna be an auteur and come up with something that's just me. It's unique to me. And if you look at it, a lot of auteurs aren't even unique to themselves. So I guess that's just
yeah, I feel like
don't get in that
auteur.
mindset.
Yeah, that idea of like being another is like, hey, you're everybody copy. Art is derivative. You're copying from someone, even if you don't realize you're copying. It's that really good ability of making it your own while you're copying and
Yeah.
making it to the people are gonna see that because I don't remember which professor of mine told me that, right? But it's like don't try to be Quentin Tarantino. There's already a Quentin Tarantino, and
Hmm.
you're never gonna be as good as the original one. Just try to be you.
Yeah. Don't
But
don't be something that you're not.
yeah, I like that idea of like pooling is very important for art in general, and a lot of people are almost scared of it.
Yeah, and some people have a feeling that they want to get out. Some people, they want to make a song. They have a certain feeling, they don't know how to get it out other than, you know, being similar to the song that they're trying to get the same feeling from. So, you know, it's been done for, you know, I would say thousands of years, because who knows if you know, artists back in, you know, 1200 BC were copying other artists you know, songs or hymns. Who knows? You know, it's been
Yeah,
going on
really.
since the dawn of music. So don't be
Well,
afraid of it.
I think this last question went into a very like general artistic direction. If we start talking about art in general here, we're gonna be here all night.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great spot for us to close off the stream.
Yeah.
Because that was a really good talk. It was fun to really touch on your process, because when we're in meetings, it's just like talking about what to
Business.
do and what we need to change and the deadlines. It's really nice to just sit down and really learn what you guys went through in between my crazy sessions of feedback. So I would really like to thank you guys again for being in the project. I would like to thank Django, who has been sending messages on chat throughout the stream,
Thank you.
and to everyone else that plugged in after the stream was done. Because I know that there's a lot of Brazilian people, most of them in my family, that wanted to listen to it, but it's a bit too late there for them. So for everybody in the future from Brazil, hey, hi! I hope you understand
Hello.
me in English. And don't forget to please check sangiacomofilm.com. Help us out. We need help to make this film happen.
Yes.
Okay, we're a bunch of broke filmmakers with a pretty darn good idea and the right tools to make it happen. We just need the support of our network and like-minded crazy artists like us. So thank you again. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, Kyle.
My pleasure.
Thank you watching the stream. I really appreciate every single one of you guys. And this is the first of the streams for the crowdfunding campaign. We're also planning a live script reading with the actors, and one extra one when it's just more like a chat and RPG game
Cool.
with some crew members.
Yeah.
Okay, and I to see everybody else here for the next stream. And thank you very much for staying with us for almost 2 hours. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a long one.
Good talk.
I was playing. It was. Thanks so much, guys. That was really
That
fun.
was a great
It was
time.
fun,
It was
honestly.
awesome.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna let you close the stream, Kyle, because you're the man here.
All
You guys
right.
have a good one.
All right.
All
And
right.
support
Thank you
us.
for watching,
Support us
everyone.
on Seed and Spark. And thank you for watching. Bye.
All right. Peace out, everybody. Thank you guys so much again for listening and tuning in. We're going to go ahead and end off the stream, but before we do, I'm just going to go ahead and play the introduction song before I end off the stream one more time while we're gone. All right. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Oh, he's back. Okay. Oh, there goes the music. Oh no, it's back. Yeah, no, they can't hear us. They just hear the music. Hi,
They're
everyone.
still here. It's fine.
Sanctus Dominus Deus Sabaoth,
Are we,
dona eus requiem, petolis peccata, Sanctus Dominus Deus Sabaoth, Hosanna in excelsis, Sub Sabaoth.